Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another Awaken Inner Wisdom show. Today, we're going to be diving into some of the most vulnerable and possibly powerful questions about love, emotions, and our connection to nature and to source. It's a whole lineup of questions like, why do I feel calmer in nature when my emotions are all over the place? And how do I move from self-disappointment into self-love after years of emotional eating and loneliness? We'll also explore how heartbreak can heighten our sensitivity to the natural world, what it means to stay sovereign in love, and how plant medicines like San Pedro or possibly even ayahuasca can help us process some of those deep emotions. While we're also going to be asking the question, how do I reconnect to source even without them? And then together, we'll be exploring how to align with our inner wisdom so we can love more deeply, live more peacefully, and walk our awakening path with clarity. So if you're watching with me live, thank you for joining. Please jump into the comments and ask your questions. They don't have to be related specifically to this week's topic, because if it's heavy on your heart or weighing on your mind, I would love it if you ask it. And you can do so in the questions, in the comments. And I'd also be happy to just pull through whatever insights you need from your higher self to help you move through. So now if you're watching on replay, you can go to bethbell.me/question and ask it there, or also put it in the comments. And if you haven't already completed this state of the heart assessment, I highly encourage it, as you'll discover the state of your heart and reveal if your status is blocked, broken, healing, or whole. Okay, let's jump in. There's a whole lineup of questions and I can't wait to get to them with you. Okay. So, question number 1. Sometimes I feel like my emotions are all over the place, but when I'm in nature, I feel calm. Why do you think that is? Now, I would say that there's a lot of different dynamics at play here. The calmness that we feel, like what comes to mind here is, think about being in the ocean and thinking about the rhythm of the ocean and how naturally that rhythm happens. It can feel and look like it's I don't want to say harsh, but strong and crashing. And sometimes life can feel like that too. However, there's a rhythm to it and there's a flow to it. And something's coming forward as well that might sound a little out there, but I've actually practiced it now with a friend, and I think that it's been really interesting. And I'll come back specific to the question, but just hold with me here on the story, that we decided that what if we greeted each other like we were the ocean or water? It was specifically water. And what would that look like without words? Like, how would we move? How would we? And so we were laughing and, and recognizing like, hey, this is kind of fun, kind of silly. And yet there was an energy that we started to feel between each other because of the movement, not because of the words. And so I think when we tune in to the actual ocean, the water, Mother Nature, we start to tap in to that rhythm. And so that brings a sense of calmness. I think, I'm not a surfer. I hear from many surfers a very similar theme. And that is that, hey, when I get out in the water, like all of life's worries and stress goes away. And that's my meditation time. That's my time to just really be. And of course, there's probably community time when you're out in the surf and you're chatting away with other friends that out there, other surfers. But it really is that feeling of connectedness that I think is bringing so much calmness. And so we're going to talk, I think, quite a bit about that today based on some of the questions that have come through, because it is accessing like that quiet stillness within, and at the same time moving in motion and like being present and being alive and being in our life force energy, our chi, and how we can ultimately stay connected in. We're never not connected, but we feel like we are sometimes because of our mind. So the question that's being asked is, your emotions are all over the place, but when I'm in nature, I feel calm. Why do you think that is? That is why, because there is that rhythmic nature. And there's other things that are coming as well, that show us the organized chaos, in a sense, that's happening. Because like I said, a wave can be crashing, and yet there's something very organized about how the waves work with the moon cycles and the energies of the earth. And so it's something that I'm not an expert in, but the sentiment is coming through that it's that energy that's so much larger than us that we really want to be able to connect into. So yeah, I get it. That's why you're feeling so calm, and really set an intention to do that more often. And if you have the luxury of being able to go outside and do your meditation in the morning, even better, because it might be that you hear a little birdie chirping. It might be that you hear just the peacefulness of the animals. And as many of you may already know, I'm a flower whisperer. So what does that mean? I photograph flowers. I call it observational flower photography. And when I do that, it helps me quiet my mind. It helps me just really tune in to beyond my mind, so that I can feel the essence of the flower, that I can appreciate the beauty, sometimes pick up the scent, and it starts to heighten my senses. And it starts to heighten me being in my body and having this beautiful experience here and now, as opposed to in my mind, trying to create something, trying to be something, trying to do something, trying to evaluate something. So the mind can be very brilliant, but it can also be very constraining. And that's where Mother Nature really can calm us. So yeah. And if you can't be in Mother Nature, what comes is, there's so many different, what do they call them? Like ambient noise makers, whether it's on your phone or maybe you have one by your bedside, something that brings that calmness into the room, that white noise, that rhythm of really just kind of putting you into this mesmerized state in a very blissful way. All right. Hopefully that's helpful to answer that question. And I always love your comments in the comment section. I'm going to just make sure I'm able to see them here. Okay, so let's move on to question number 2. In the last 3 years, I have gained 30 pounds. Some of it is due to menopause and hormones, but much of it is due to emotional eating because of deep loneliness and where I find myself at 55. Today, I started a new protocol to lose weight, reduce inflammation, and hopefully end what has become an eating disorder. How do I move from deep self-disappointment for ending up here, despite all of the spiritual work I have done on myself to self-love? And thank you, because that's such a vulnerable question. And I think that emotional eating is actually probably more common than we think. Whether it's emotional eating, or it's anorexia, or it's bulimia, or it's even potentially this whole Ozempic phenomenon that's happening, where people are starting to become really obsessed, in a sense, with their body image, with their weight. And even when people are going off of Ozempic, they're sometimes not seeing that lasting change. So I think that there are some really beautiful shortcuts, and that might be for some people something that works really, really well. But ultimately, it is getting to that deeper emotional root of it. And it sounds like that's what you're really doing, that you're trying to get that shortcut. Like, hey, I'm going to take ownership. I'm going to settle into a protocol that I think is going to work for me. And that's step number 1, right? Is believing in the protocol. It doesn't matter if it's placebo effect or not. I'm not saying that it is for you. I'm actually not getting that it is. I'm just saying that, believing in whatever methodology that we're going to use is such a healthy and important aspect of diving into this deeper journey that you're on. The other thing that's coming, though, is, and maybe you've already done this, but when you sit down to eat, before you even pick up the fork or the spoon, get your journal and journal what it is that you're feeling in that moment. Because I think sometimes there's this trance-like state that happens, like there's an idea of like, I want to eat ice cream. I'm just making this up. I know this isn't your story exactly, but I want to eat ice cream. And so you go and you just find yourself mesmerized in the trance, going to the freezer to get ice cream. And the next thing you know, you're sitting on the sofa and you're eating ice cream to feel better, to self-soothe. And then afterwards, there's all this shame and self-judgment. And why did I do that again? And all of those kinds of feelings that come. So what I would do is if you can't stop before the trance starts, like before you get to the freezer, if you can, that would be step number one, to do it right there, then and there. Get your journal out and say, what's driving me there? What's coming to me is that a lot of the times it's the microbiome in our gut. So yes, it's attached to some kind of emotional symptomology that you're having, but it's also tied to the microbiome in your gut, which is feeding your brain. We've heard about the gut being the second brain, and it is. I actually think in so many ways it's like the first brain, because it's driving our cravings. It's driving our chemicals that are giving us the reassurance that we feel like we need in the time. So if you haven't made it to stop right at that moment where the thought comes in, and you find yourself with a bowl of ice cream, get the journal out. And before you take the first bite, just ask yourself the question, what am I feeling right now? Even if you're starving, maybe it's like something healthy and you're sitting down to eat. What am I feeling right now? Identify it, and then take another moment and say, and where am I feeling it in my body? And if you're not feeling it anywhere, that's totally fine. Sometimes it takes a little bit more practice for us to really anchor into like where in our bodies that we're feeling the emotion. And once you've kind of identified, it feels like it's here, or wherever it is, then just continue to write about how you're feeling. See how far you can get with it. If nothing comes, it's okay. You don't have to judge yourself for it. But find something in that moment before you take that first bite that you replace that emotion with. I love myself so much that I'm taking in some sweet treat that will fulfill this moment in time with a loving feeling. So whatever it is that comes, I'm just saying what's coming to me right in this moment, just as an example, because that way you're really going to be able to change the energy around what you're thinking and feeling while you're eating it. And it's been a long time since I read Louise Hay's material, but I know that she was a big advocate for, it's not just about what you eat, it's what you're thinking while you're eating it. So we can transmute a lot of the energies of what's happening in our own bodies if we have a different thought process. Now, for some of you, that's going to sound like way out there, like, well, what do you mean? And how is that possible? And that's okay too. I'm just still going to suggest that you try it. I'm going to say, like, when you sit down, even if you don't have a journal, when we sit down, there's a really great practice of blessing our food, being grateful for our food. Not because our grandmother said there were starving children in Africa and we needed to eat all of our food. Not because of that. Because that vibration is, again, out of lack. So if we sit with a sense of abundance and a sense of gratefulness and a sense of, wow, I'm just so grateful that I'm here with this beautiful plate of food or this beautiful bowl of ice cream or whatever it is. And we sit in that gratefulness, we have this beautiful vibration that comes through us, then we're going to find that our body takes in this food in a whole different way. And again, I want to go back to this microbiome thing because it's just not talked about enough. I am not an expert per se on microbiome, but I can tell you that it makes a huge difference to your emotional state. Cleaning up your diet, and I know for the person asking the question that it's something that you have done meticulously over time. And I think continuing to eat clean, continuing to identify the emotions and replace those emotions with good emotions so that the self-judgment isn't there. And then replacing something like, I'm just giving an example. Again, like let's say you're going for the chocolate ice cream and instead you go for a peach. Right now, peaches are in season. I have a big box of them. I was at Costco and I had a box of peaches in my cart. And this beautiful older woman said to me, She said, "Oh, are those peaches good? They look so good." I said, "They are." And she said, "Oh, but it's just me and my husband." And I said, "Well, actually, it's just me eating these." And she's like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, I treat them like candy. When they're in season, I just love them. And I don't judge myself for how much sugar there may be in them or when I can eat them. If I get a sweet tooth, I go to get a peach. And whether it's, before a meal, after a meal, in the afternoon, whatever it is, or I just feel like I want something, yeah, to satiate a desire. And I just feel so grateful to Mother Nature for providing me that peach. And so it's like sitting in that gratefulness. Look, sometimes I just run over there and grab a peach and I eat it. I'm not saying every moment that I'm like in incredible gratitude, but I really try my best to think that when I go to pick something up to eat, because it is a luxury for us to have good, healthy food and to have it in abundance. So I think there's just I'm feeling for you specifically. There's really, it's such a tightly wound program. I don't know if the program is the right word, but it's a tightly wound, the judgment tied to food. And I feel like there's just going to be like this little flip that gets the switch that gets flipped that's going to just take you right out of that. And I think doing the little practices that I've said, which is stopping to journal, stopping to bless the foods, and blessing yourself for eating it, is going to start changing that dynamic, because you have to literally make yourself stop. And if you don't have your journal, let's say you're out and about, have a journal in your notes section on your phone so that you can stop yourself. There's no excuse why you can't write down how you're feeling right now and switching that feeling. And maybe you've come up with some kind of a mantra. You can work with yourself on, like, what's that mantra I want to have? Then I think that food is going to be so much more nourishing for you. So try it out. And I would love to hear, please write in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Okay, let's see here. Got a little technical glitch over here, so I just want to look at that. Okay, so the next question is, when I feel disconnected, could it be that my energy is out of harmony with some aspect of nature, and how would I know for sure? Yeah, I like this. It's a bit of a abstract question, at least from what's coming in for me right at this moment. So I want to kind of take it and run with this, because I think that the harmony part, with some aspect of nature, there's a couple of things that are coming through. One is really being in tune with the seasons. So assuming that you're living in a country that has maybe 4 seasons, maybe 2 seasons, that you tune into your body and you tune into the foods that are available. You tune into what is in season right now. And you tune in by eating those foods that are in season, having fun with it. Don't make it a chore, because otherwise then it's never fun. If you feel like we have to deprive ourselves of something, or we have to make it, another task, we want to make it fun. Like, hey, let's see, like, right now, what is the best food to eat for my body in the season that I'm in? And I'm sure ChatGPT can help you with that. So wherever you are, whatever time of year you're watching this, you can just go in and say, hey, what is the best food for me right now in the region that I live? What's the best for me to enhance my life force energy, my chi, and yeah, any tips? And in fact, what's coming is even just ask for a meal planner, and then work from that. Hey, I love that idea for myself, because if you know me well, you know that I actually don't like to cook. I like to eat healthy, and I love receiving food from someone else that has cooked it, but I'm not really a big cook myself. And yet when I've gone on really squeaky clean cleanse diets and I'm responsible for all my food and I can't just go to a restaurant, gosh, I find that there's so much beauty in eating, and the cleanliness of which I feel in my own internal system and my own chi state. So it does enhance dramatically when we stay in harmony with Mother Nature. So how do you know, I think, was the second part of that question, right? How would I know for sure? Because you start to feel your energy raise. You don't have the the legs. It doesn't mean that you might not have a dip because something happens, someone says something and you feel an emotional dip, but you actually feel like that heightened chi state, that heightened energy state, that, wow, okay, everything's just flowing for me, even if it's not exactly flowing, but it feels like the energy within you is. I would also couple it with meditation so that you can really anchor into that first chakra and really feel into your body. I know this morning for me in my meditation, I felt just a different sense. I was actually asking to pull through the golden thread, something that I've been working on this week, and just really anchoring it in to my sit bone and anchoring it into my body, into all my chakras, into my first chakra and all the way up. Now, this is something else that's coming to share. And I do think it speaks to the harmony question. And it's around the shadow work, the lower chakra work. Many of us on this awakening spiritual journey, it's so fun to open up all of this, open up the seventh chakra. Even opening our heart chakra is such a beautiful experience, and sometimes can be traumatic because there's oftentimes stored stuff in there. So again, that's where, if you want to go on to bethbell.me and take the state of the heart assessment, you'll find out which state your heart is in, if it's blocked, broken, healing, or whole. But it's that clearing of the energies of our chakras. And when we do that, and we start out up here on the top ones, right? The fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, we start opening, and it's like that connection is so incredible, and it's expansive, and it helps us to see things in ways that, wow, I hadn't thought of it like that before. I haven't experienced it like that before. And then a lot of times what can happen is those really lower chakras, not that they get ignored, but they might not get cleared. So the third chakra, our solar plexus, our spiritual home, what's in there, what needs to be cleared to really empower us to be here now, as opposed to sort of out there in the celestial realms. I'm speaking to myself here because I do this a lot, where I'm out in the celestial realms and I'm not as anchored into my lower chakras. Or maybe we lower into our second chakra, but it's more from sexual intimacy, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that might not be the clearing that you need. You may be anchored in there, but not all the time. And it might be because you're not 100% cleared. Maybe you have a distorted sexual program. Like, there's lots of things that can be in there. And then, of course, that first chakra, it's all about safety. It's all about safety. And there's so many programs and experiences that come into our lives that oftentimes we don't even know where we got them, because they happened when we were, either in utero, firstborn, toddlers, or from our ancestral lineage. So there's a lot of stuff to clear in those lower chakras. And that is so important in order to be in harmony. So we want all of our chakras in harmony, right? All the way up. But in our awakening process, we're actually, to be enlightened, we're coming in. We're coming down in to ourselves, so that we can bring all of that light and that love in an embodied form that we can then project out. We can signal out to others, that we can, as an offering, shine the light and show the way. So I know that when I get into this, it's a little digression perhaps from the question. When I feel disconnected, could it be that my energy is out of harmony with some aspect of nature? And how would I know for sure? So yes, I think that's the short answer is yes, it is about connecting to the energy of Mother Nature and leveraging Mother Nature as such a beautiful example. Another example that comes to mind is I really enjoy watching lotus flowers. In fact, when I was living in Bali, there was a small little lotus flower pond that was up high. It was like a cute little bowl, and there was these lotus flowers in there. And one day I just decided I was going to sit there and watch that lotus flower open. It hadn't come up, it had already come up from the mud. So it was, it was at that stage where it was opening. I would have been there for days probably watching it come up out of the mud. But the harmony of that, the effortlessness of that, and reflecting on that after watching that, and just seeing like the beauty that unfolded by doing nothing. And I know sometimes that is so hard to translate into a human experience because we are taught to do. we're not always taught to be, but we are human beings. And so being in that state where we're connected to Mother Nature and in harmony is such a blissful place to be. So how do you know? You know when you're out of harmony. You just know when something's off. And you do also know when you're clicked in. It's like the flow state. But getting into each chakra, that can be a lifetime of process. Not to say that it's like it has to be. You can easily get your chakras in line. You can go to an energy healer that's going to help you. But then again, it comes back to what are the programs, what are the thought forms, what's the constructs that are creating that I want to release so that I don't call that back in, because someone else may be able to help you, get it all aligned. But then when you get out of alignment, like, oh, geez, my back hurts again, or, oh, geez, I've got that same thing in my shoulder, whatever it is that you're suffering from, it comes back because your body is asking you to go deeper. It's asking you to go deeper into what is it that I don't want to say ignoring, because a lot of times we're not trying to ignore it, but that we're trying to unravel or uncover or reveal. And so, yes, Mother Nature is such a beautiful source of harmony, just simply energetically, if we allow ourselves to tune into it, but also aesthetically, to just watch it and to just be with it and to listen to a bird chirping. Okay, hopefully that's helpful. I want to jump on to the next question here. Okay. How can I feel? My glasses on. How can I tell the difference between a karmic relationship and a truly sacred one? Yeah. On one hand, I'm going to say I don't think it matters. I appreciate the question and I'm going to answer it, but it feels like every relationship has some level of karma in it. It might not be like, oh, I have karma with this person for a previous life. It might be that I have karma for a previous life and this person in the here and now is trying to help me heal it. And I think all of that can be sacred. Even when it feels like it's not sacred, there's an element of sacredness to it because you called them in to help you with your growth. So there's, I think not a real difference that needs to be made here. But feeling into your question, I want to answer more specifically that sometimes the karmic patterns the karma is a pattern. And so when you're starting to notice that show up in every relationship, then it might be that even though there's a sacred lesson, that relationship itself might not be that sacred. It might just be like, and here's another one. Thank you. All right, noted. Let's move on from this pattern. And a more sacred relationship might be one where you're actually holding a sacred container between the two of you for a longer period of time, perhaps a lifetime. So that would be what I would say is the differentiator, but they're both so intricately intertwined that, yeah, all karma is going to come in some kind of a sacred relationship. So it just might not be that long term. It could be that it's a relationship with a stranger on the street. There's lots of ways that karma comes back and gives us the lessons. All right. Hopefully that's helpful. I always love to hear in the comments. And if you ever want to do something deeper and you want something that's weighing heavy on your heart or heavy on your mind and you want to work through it, you can always schedule a private one-on-one session with me at bethbell.me. I have easy 30-minute questions, and there's also the 60-minute one-on-ones, or you can also apply to be part of the monthly Intuitive Soul Advising Program. I have very limited slots for that, but I would love to hear from you if you have any interest in really being soulfully guided and supported through perhaps a part of your journey that's a little bit difficult, or maybe it's just that everything's exploding and opening up for you, and you're just like, how do I bridge, this world and this world at the same time? Because I know for me, when I first woke up, everything was just accelerating. My soul was quickening and I was moving so fast. And I didn't have a lot of people that I could talk to because other people weren't waking up in the same way, in the same time, with the same questions. And so I had just a few really trusted confidants that I could go to. So that's my offering in the monthly soul advisor program, that you'll be able to have a trusted confidant to be able to bounce things off of, ask questions, gain insights, and really move through anything that's happening for you. It might be that you're going through a divorce, or you have massive heartbreak in your life, or maybe you have big love, but it's all just so disruptive that you don't know how to get the juice out of it without having everything else crumble at the same time. So I'd be happy to hear from you if you're interested in applying for that. Okay, let's keep moving along. The next question. After my breakup, I noticed I feel more connected to the ocean. Why does heartbreak seem to make me more sensitive to nature? I would say, going back to one of the first questions on the show today, this gets answered quite a bit, but something else is coming forward now with this. When we see rain, when we experience water gushing, when we experience water trickling, when we experience that, it can also help trigger some emotion for us. Even if it's just that the ocean is the white noise we need to cry and not feel like we're just crying all by ourselves and we're so vulnerable because everyone can hear us. That it might be just that place, that might be that the edge of a cliff that you can sit and that you can just really let it go. And I love the ocean for that, in that you can so easily go to the ocean and really just throw out your thoughts, throw out your emotion, ask for support, ask for guidance, and let the ocean just take it away. Because at the end of the day, I'm not saying this to diminish any one of us in a human body form. We are just a speck of dust on planet Earth. And we are just one tiny little wave in a big ocean. But when we connect into that big ocean and we connect into those waves, we are so incredibly powerful, because we have all of our connectedness to source helping to guide us and to help us move through whatever emotion we have. And watch the wave and say, hey, here's my thought, and then watch the wave just engulf it and pull it in and just transmute it. Use your imagination. Use this as a way of knowing that you're releasing, you're transmuting, you are going into your power through allowing that to come out of you in a thought form and in an imagination, to just be throwing it out to the water and allowing yourself to cry, allowing yourself to, feel the sobs, feel the tears, feel the deeper meaning behind what that is. And oftentimes when we stay open like that, and we just allow something else that we're connected to clear it, it opens up new possibilities. It opens up ideas that come forward in our mind. It opens up old memories. I know just recently I thought, wow, that was an experience that brought forward an old wound from my marriage that's over 20 plus years ago. So yeah, we can really allow nature to take our stuff, and just let that shit go. But it is with intention. It is with intention that we sit there, that we do throw it out. And so I hope that you can welcome the non-visible aspects of how Mother Nature can help us heal. And one other thing that's coming so clearly is, maybe this is even a softer bridge for some people. We know that animals are transmuting our emotions for us a lot. They come, if you have a cat, the cat will sit on us, and we can feel through their energy that they're just connecting with us in a way that's so reassuring. And so Mother Nature is here to do that as well, whether it's through sounds, whether it's through a cool breeze or a warm breeze on our face, or through a beautiful flower with an incredible scent. There's so many ways that we are constantly being supported, and looking to humans sometimes isn't the place that you're going to find the unconditional support that you really, really need in that moment. So hopefully that's helpful. Let me just double check that I've actually answered the question in full. Yeah, about the breakup, the ocean. Why does heartbreak seem to make me more sensitive to nature? And I think that sensitivity chip is just you being vulnerable, and you, whether you're consciously or subconsciously recognizing that there is a connection to a source that's so much bigger than you. And that's humbling. That really is humbling. It kind of goes back to the speck of the dust, and, a wave in the ocean. So, all right. I always love to hear from you what you think about that in the comments. Okay, let's move on to the next question. How do I know if I'm compromising in love or betraying myself? I think that often is super easy to identify with how you feel in your gut, especially for women. And I'm not trying to call out women exactly, but women have like a motherly sense to them oftentimes, and oftentimes they have a little bit stronger intuitive ability. It doesn't mean that men can't have the same. They can, and they do. But innately, where we are in human nature right now, a lot of times women have this even stronger. So I think that when there's a betrayal happening, when you're betraying yourself, or when you are allowing others to betray you. And so it's tuning in. It's tuning into that real deep heart space. It's tuning into, how does that really feel? And the reason why we don't do it is because our mind is often running so fast trying to figure it out. I speak from a lifetime of experience on that we're trying to figure it out from our head as opposed to feel it in through our heart, and allowing our gut to speak, to give us that gut instinct that I don't know why I need to do this, but I got to do it. And I don't have any of the logistical details to support it right now, but I just know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. All right. Hopefully that's helpful. Let's move on to the next question here. I was going to share another story there, but I think I'll hold it. If you really want to hear it, let me know in the comments. It has to do with the cactus ceremony. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. How can I stay sovereign and not lose myself when I fall deeply in love? What comes to mind here is just let yourself fall. I think sometimes we put up too many guardrails. I'm a big believer in falling deep and falling hard. And I'm not saying that we lose sovereignty, because I think it's about trusting that we know thyself. And if we fall so deeply that we don't know thyself, then that is part of the spiritual, soulful contract that you have with that person. And they may crush your heart. And that's okay too. And I know that sounds sort of flippant, and I don't exactly mean it that way, but I mean it like, if someone is coming into your life and you're feeling that love, going deep with them is the best place to go. Yeah, listen for the red flags. Yeah, listen to all of those things that, are coming at you. But don't hold back, because a lot of times it's your own fears that are trying to tell you, oh, it's always about heartbreak. My heart's going to get broken, or, oh, they're going to betray me, or, oh, this is going to happen. And I'm not saying don't listen to that. Listen to that. I'm just saying, don't let that drive you, and keep centered in your own sovereignty. And what we do and how we do that is, maybe in the beginning, we don't commingle everything in the first month. Maybe we just allow each other to have our own spaces, our own places, and just keep on this journey of exploration, curiosity. I know, especially I've seen this for myself, but also with just a lot of, I'm going to say, more middle-aged people. If we've been single for a while, we're just excited to meet someone who we resonate with. And when we do, it can just be like, let's just do this thing. Like, I know what I want and I know that you're it, and let's just go for it. And I'm just suggesting that you allow the honeymoon period, you allow the infatuation period, you allow all of those, like, everything's perfect about this person, to just sit with it for a bit, let it resonate, let yourself come to a place where you let the demonstratable behaviors over time dictate the resonance versus your fantasy of who you think they are. And that's really the clincher in there, is allowing yourself to fall deeply, noting all the things that come to you intuitively, and not being afraid of the heartbreak or not being afraid of what could happen, but having that pulse, that finger on what are my own my own fantasies, my own wounds, my own feelings that I need to really overcome with this relationship or feel more deeply into. Okay, let's go on to the next one. We've got a couple more. Actually, we've got quite a few more, but we'll do as many as we can here. And anyone on live, I always love to hear. Okay. I've heard that San Pedro and Ayahuasca help people feel their emotions. How is that? And how can these medicines support someone struggling with heartbreak? Whether your heart has recently been broken, or, which a majority of other people have, heartache or heartbreak that they have been suffering from for probably their entire lives. There's something that happened in their life that was a big T, little t trauma. It could be something on the playground. It could be something that was really devastating in their life at a young age. It could be something that's happened more recently. That heartache is going to stay in you at a cellular level until you are ready to release it. And so that's such an important aspect to recognize. And so where do plant medicines come in? First of all, I would offer that plant-based medicines are possibly not for everyone. They can, in many respects, help everyone, but I don't think that everyone is ready for them, because what happens with plant-based medicines is it can create an enormous shift, because it can help you release things that you're carrying for so long, things you don't even know. And when those get released, there's room for more to come in. And we want the light to come in. We want the embodiment to come in. We want to be deeper in ourselves. And yet sometimes people aren't ready for that. I don't even like the word ready, but that's kind of what it is. It's the analogy that's coming is when I was a kid, every summer I was at the swimming pool. And one summer I remember I was at the top of the high dive and I was like, oh, I don't think I can do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. They tried to bribe me with soda. I can't remember. There was some Graveyard. It was a mix of all the different soda pops, but it was a big deal. And I loved soda back then. And even that, like, I wasn't gonna jump because the fear was too much. And so sometimes that fear is just deeply within us that we just don't want to experience the change. And so it's when we're ready that we'll jump. And if we get pushed, it can be really scary. And that's why I think it's so important to go to a spiritual sacred ceremony when you feel ready, not when you feel pushed, not when you feel like, oh, I want to do this because my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my partner, my friend, whatever is doing it. The community's doing it. I think I should just try it. It's not the right energy, but it's not the alignment energy that the plants would request you to be in. And a lot of times that can cause the journey to not be exactly what you're wanting or intending to be as well. So I am a huge advocate of plant-based medicines. They are incredibly healing because they do go in at a cellular level and they just help us release somatically on a cellular level the memories that we're storing that are no longer serving us, and clearing it out so that we can just bring more of our innate intrinsic power in. And we can free up mind space that was being utilized running in the background. You know, have you ever, your computer's like running in the background because there's other programs that are running, and then you get error message and glitches, and it's like all this extra chaos that's happening. That's what it can do, is go in and help reduce all of that background chaos, free up the energy so that you can put that energy really into your passions and your purpose, as opposed to running the scarcity, the fear, all of the things that are no longer serving you. So super powerful, super, super powerful. And I highly recommend it if you find someone it's in a safe set and setting, but it's really a very special decision that only you can make. And you also have to do your own due diligence to see where's a safe place, where is it legal. You know, there's lots of implications here. And in fact, if you want a little bit more guidance on it, I do have the psychedelics resource guide on bethbell.me. I provide some insights there. And again, I'm not recommending it. I'm saying that there are some really good insights that will help you make your own personal decision. Okay. We've got some other questions. I think I'm going to hold them till next week, but each week, I am so happy when you are here with me. I love having you live. It's incredible to have your energy. I love your questions. And I would love for you to put in the comments of this show, if you've liked any aspect of it, please give it a thumbs up, give me a subscribe, and tell me what you love the most in the comment section for this video, because that helps other people also see what some incredible takeaways may be. So I'm looking forward to seeing you again every Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. And until then, I'm wishing you so much bliss and love on the journey. Namaste.